So good morning, everyone. Again, it's lovely to see you, even though in not persons, but still it's great and lovely to see all of you. So again, as usual, I would like to start with a short breathing meditation exercise to quiet your mind, to calm your mind, by watching your breath mindfully for a few moments. Then we can think and feel. May I ask all coming here together, giving our precious time and with good intentions. May all of this become cause and conditions for oneself and all sentient beings to become more kind person, more compassionate person, having more patience, tolerance, to be more understanding with others and oneself. And cause and condition to become more wise, more ethical, and not only we wish this to be a cause and condition for that, but we try to make effort to be that. And maybe it become cause and condition to actualize our individual full potential, fully awakened. Fully awakened one or fully awakened state. So we can be most and greater help and benefit to all sentient beings. Okay.
Just the beginning.
Yeah.
Just the beginning.
I go for refuge until I'm
enlightened to be Buddha.
the Supreme Assembly by the merit I create to listen to the Dhamma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye Chodong Soge Sonam No Chancho Padu Dane Gyata Dagi Choshe Gibe Sonam Ge Dola Penche Sangye Dupa Sangye Chodong Soge Sonam No Chancho Padu Dane Dagi Choshe Gibe Sonam Ge Dola Penche Sangye Dupa. Again, good morning, and again, welcome. And being in New Mexico, having rains feels very good, to hear the sound of the rain, how relative it is so different, If I was in India and Nepal, I might not have that smile to hear the sound of the rain, But being here, to see and hear the sound of the rains bring you so much joy and smile. And I think that is why the Buddha's teaching on relative is so relevant and relative, Nothing is kind of concrete and absolute. It's all relevant. One time, I was with one of my friends in Oko, and then while we were there, it started to rain, and we can see people who are living in this state and people who are visiting it, There is a lot of smile in a lot of people by seeing the rain, and there were not so happy people who, by seeing the rain, who are visiting to have vacations, So it's just interesting, Anyway, that just kind of thought came in my mind. So we have been kind of going through this particular text, Bodhisattva Garland of Jewel, and we have discussed some of the very helpful instructions, advice that we can apply in our life as much as possible to make our life better, to make our life more kind, compassionate, more wise, more patience, and definitely, to become better, better, more enlightened, and so we have gone through some of the verses that the author advised us to apply mindfulness in our everyday life, in our practice as well as our everyday life. The vigilant mind in our practice as well as in our everyday life as much as possible, to give up or not to be too lazy, instead, to have enthusiasm and joy in our practice. Then he also talked about, not to think about bad about others, not to talk bad about others. It doesn't help anyone. And not to be too kind of arrogant and too proudful ourselves, and whenever we see any good quality, positive quality in others, encourage them and talk about those positive qualities of others, so others can be also inspired. And then we also talk about last week, letting go of any kind of craving or strong desire or attachments, because that make us unhappy, and also that make us to engage into the actions that hurt and harm others as well. And the moment we are able to let go of any kind of craving, desire, attachment, then you are able to find peace in yourself, not running after things or objects, whether it's external thing or whether it's internal thing, or objects. When we have that kind of craving, desire, attachment, then we are always running after something. And by that, then we are unable to find kind of peace and joy in ourselves. But if we stop chasing and running after them all the time, then by letting go of that, then we will be able to find more peace in ourselves, more happiness in ourselves, because it's not outside. Happiness and peace is not outside. True happiness and peace is something within. We just have to find and discover within ourselves, and so training and learning to let go of that kind of chasing and running after other objects. And so then, we come to the verse again. I don't know, because this does not have the number in terms of the verses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in the 7th verses, some of the verses are 4 lines, some of them 2 lines, 3 lines, you can, where it says, another advice, instructions, is cultivate love and compassion and make your bodhisattva stable. So, so here he's advising to generate altruistic attitude or intentions, and the highest level of altruistic intentions is what we call bodhisattva, awakened mind, the mind, the awakened mind or the bodhisattva, And in order to make that altruistic mind or attitude of bodhisattva, stable, then, we have to cultivate the root cause of that altruistic attitude, that is, true love and compassion. And the love, compassion, and bodhisattva mind, they are root of our own happiness, is the root of others' happiness, is the root of our own inner peace, and is the cause of external peace. Is peace for us, it is cause for our peace, and it is cause for peace for others. When I'm in state of love and compassion, bodhisattva mind, I wouldn't have any negative thoughts about others, and I wouldn't act negatively towards others. And that creates peaceful environment for others to feel more peace, so that others do not get any kind of hurt and harm, receive any hurt and harm from me. And thereby, not only ourselves find inner peaceful, calm, but also we create that environment for individual, environment for others to create that kind of peaceful environment, and it is a cause for our temporary happiness, long-term happiness. The moment you are in the moment of true love, true compassion, bodhisattva mind, you are in really free from all other negative negative disturbing emotions. And when you are free from other negative disturbing emotions, then definitely you find more peace, you know. And that kind of true love, compassion, bodhicitta mind, give you a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of confidence, self-confidence. A lot of encouragement, you know. And you know, the Lama, His Holiness Dalai Lama shared his own experience. He said whenever he get a little bit discouraged, you know, because even though he is trying to be kind, compassion, helpful, benefit to others, but sometimes, you know, human beings, sentient beings, being not enlightened, you know, have delusions. So then they respond and react in a certain way, you know. And sometimes it can be discouraging, you know. You try to help someone and that person's kind of try to be harmful to you, you know. Or you try to help someone and they kind of never kind of listen to you or ignore your advice, or, you know, all of that. And sometimes it can be a little bit discouraging, you know. So His Holiness, whenever he feel like he's getting discouraged or something because of sudden mischief of other sentient beings or their behavior, action, so then he think about bodhicitta mind. And when he think of bodhicitta mind, then, you know, it gives him a lot of confidence, encourages, and overcome the feeling of discourage. And that gives you a lot of courage and feeling of confidence, you know. And so again, that is not only his experience. If we also apply that ourselves in our life, we should be also be able to feel same way, you know. Because when we talk about bodhicitta mind, we make these kind of commitments to work for all sentient beings for eons and eons, no matter how they respond, no matter how negative they are. So once we have made that, and when we generate bodhicitta mind, we try to remind ourselves that kind of commitment we made. And so from that point of view, that person's actions is nothing for what kind of commitment we have made. So we shouldn't be discouraged by that one individual's or few individuals, such actions and behavior. You know, that shouldn't make us discouraged from working for something good we want to work for. You know, something that we want to do, something positive, something helpful, either to the society, the world, the society, certain individuals, you know, and without being discouraged, we continue to do that. And as long as we can keep the love, compassion, bodhicitta mind, we will be able to keep it doing without being discouraged and without giving up. But if we do not have that, if we cannot keep our love and compassion and bodhicitta mind strong, then, you know, so then we can be easily kind of discouraged from trying to be benefit and help, trying to do something, whether it is for the world, whether it is for a particular country, society, whether it is certain individuals. So therefore it's so important, necessary to work with our mind to cultivate, to generate and to keep that love, compassion, bodhicitta mind all the time, and not allowing it to kind of degenerate or diminish. So what is love? What is compassion? You know, I think sometimes I think it is important for us to understand that, because there could be many different idea or perceptions about what love is, what compassion is, but what is described as a love and compassion in a Buddhist literatures, if we understand that, then maybe it will be sometimes helpful when we talk about love and compassion, especially from Buddhist point of view. Especially when we're studying and practicing from a Buddhist point of view. Of course, both love, compassion, both chitta mind, they all are different, state of minds, love, compassion, kind of mental factors, and the virtues, mental factors, virtuous mind, because we have non-virtuous mind and virtuous mind, and among the virtuous mind, both of them belong in the category of a virtuous mind, positive minds. And love is not same as ordinary love. Sometimes, when people have attraction to each others, out of strong desire, passions, attachments. So individuals can have a strong in love, that is not the love we are talking about here. Okay. That is very much strong desire, attachments. We talk about already attachment, desire, passions, which is more than helpful, is harmful, and is non-virtuous mind, Here, the love here, describing here, that we need to cultivate is, the pure love, nothing to do with ourselves, is something to do with others. That emotions are driven by, to see happiness in someone, is not based on because that person or that object will give me happiness. In ordinary love, that is the thing. Ordinary love, or if I'm with that person make me happy. If I'm with that animals or pet, that make me happy. It give me comfort. It become more about me, because that person make me happy. Because that person, by being with that person may give me comfort. So it comes from more kind of selfish attitude. On other hand, it's nothing to do with me, whether it's an animal, whether it's a human beings, that individual, whether person or animal, they need my help. They need my help. I will be able to help them. I might be able to make them more happy. I might be able to make their life more easier. So out of concern for that individual, out of concern for others, then you have this feeling or emotions or mind, wanting or wishing them to be happy. Wanting and wishing them to be happy. That is what true happiness, true love is. Someone is struggling with, their health. You see that, and you wish and truly wish them, relief from that pain and suffering and to have the happiness. So they don't go through that pain and instead to find the peace and to find the happiness. You might see someone who struggles in a relationship and they are going through a lot of difficulties, up and downs. And you sincerely wish them, they can overcome whatever their difficulties, challenges they are going through, so they can find a peace and happiness and joy in their life, and wishing them and wanting them to see in a peace, joy, and happiness. That is true love. Someone might have some kind of other struggles, financial struggles, having problems to rent a place, or not being able to pay a bill, or not being able to even have a food, and you see their pain, problem, suffering, and you wish, they can be relieved of what all this problem, all this suffering. You wish them to find a, free from all these problems and find a peace, joy, and happiness in their life. That is love, the wish to see them joy, happiness, peace in their life. We might see, hear, see, encounter, not only someone who is having a, health issue, but who are finding difficult to find a, treatments, or not being able to pay the bills, and so forth, Again, you see their pain and you wish them to be relieved of that pain, truly, and be free from, whatever their problem, suffering, and to find them, to be able to find joy and peace when they are relieved from their problems. Of course, then when you have that kind of really love, feeling of that true love, and if there is a way that you can be helped, you will be able to help. And you will help. You will reach out and you will help. At the moment, we don't have that true love. And so therefore, sometimes even when we might be able to, we have the resource, and even we are able to help and relieve of their problem a little bit, we are unable to do that because due to the lack of because we don't have that strong true love and compassions, It's due to that, So if we can develop that mind, and then we can be able to not only have that mind, but we will be able to actually be helped in action, in real actions, as well. The reason why we are unable to act in a loving act, compassionate act, is because we don't have that mind that drive us to do that. That drive us to do that. Or sometimes we might see, some certain individual where they have all the external conditions, all the good external conditions, They don't have to worry about, paying the bills, rent, food, health, everything. They have everything. But sometimes they struggle with their mind. Who knows why they struggles? Sometimes it could be because of from the childhood traumas that is bothering them. Sometimes it could be much more from the childhood, is much more earlier from the past. That can be kind of making their mind. And sometimes, we have too much thoughts, too much thought. Sometimes we're, anger, strong anger, impatience. We get easily frustrated and impatience, Sometimes we have this, endless desire, craving, attachments, Sometimes we have too much selfish attitude and self-important attitude. And due to all of that, then, again, due to all of that, then it disturbs our mind and we struggle to have inner peace. We struggle to have the inner peace, and we see Lord, we see the suffering, external suffering as well as internal sufferings. We see with others and we also experience with ourselves. Sometimes we have experienced externally, sometimes we have internal challenges and problems, So again, when we see that, then again, by seeing that again, you wish truly from your heart, how wonderful it would be if they are relief of whatever that is troubling them, whatever that is making them problem and painful. And if they could find true inner peace, inner joy, inner happiness, wishing them to have that kind of inner peace, joy and happiness is the love, the true love. And compassion is similar, but in the other side is like the other, the wish or the the mind to see others free from, being free from whatever suffering and problem and the cause of suffering and problem. When you see someone is sick, you wish, I wish they could be free from that suffering. Truly wishing, truly is just not just a word, but meaning from your heart. You really feel, that you wish that person can be relieved of their sickness, illness, and the cause of illness. When you see someone struggle with, financially, in whatever way, the wish to see them free from that financial suffering cause, and cause of that sufferings. That is true compassion. When you see individuals having problems in their relationships, whether it's between two individual, husband and wife, partners, girlfriend, boyfriend, or whether it's between parent and children, or whether it's among children themselves, or whether it's between individuals, groups, individual or groups who belong to different ideas, views, politically, spiritually, all so forth, So when you see there's a lot of, suffering and pain because of that kind of bad feeling towards each other, because of that kind of bad relationship, where so much suffer, and then again, from your heart, truly from your heart, you wish, all the pain, all the despair, all the frustrations, all the sufferings, feeling of impatience, all of that due to such a difficult relationship, feeling anger, hatred, So truly wishing them to be free from all those pain and cause of the pain and suffering. That is what true compassion is, Due to our own unenlightened mind, due to our own defilements, or afflictive emotions, then again, even when externally we might not be struggling externally, but again, we might be struggling internally. We might be struggling and going through a lot of pain, sufferings inside because of our internal struggles. And that is due to our unenlightened mind, the delusional mind, due to afflictive emotions. Again, that also all our unenlightened sentient beings go through that. Again, whenever we see that, again, feeling from your heart, and wishing them to be free from all of that, the internal pain, suffering, and cause of all of them, unenlightened mind, delusional mind, afflictive emotions, that wishing truthfully from your heart, really, sincerely, from that is what we hear, what is described as compassions in the Buddhist scriptures. That kind of mind, that kind of emotion, that kind of feeling, that is the compassion. So we try to train our mind to develop that. We try to train to develop that all the time, because at the moment it doesn't come naturally. For some people, it might come naturally because they are trained in the past. Sometimes even though they might not remember and aware, they have trained in the past. But for some people, that kind of feeling can come easily and quite naturally. But for most people, if we have not trained in the past and we have not trained now, then it will not come naturally and easily, So we have to train our mind. We have to train our mind by putting effort. Even you don't feel at the moment, you try to consciously try to put effort to feel that way. Training mind is that, you do with effort, you try to feel it, you try to feel that way with the effort, even though it is not natural at the moment, even though it's not spontaneous at the moment, even though it doesn't come easily, but we put effort in doing that. And slowly, if we keep on doing that, then slowly, it becomes less and easier and easier, less effort, and more natural, more and more spontaneous. And same, just as I described about the true love, also if we have that kind of true compassion, that compassion that might manifest and develop in ourselves, again, we will act. It's impossible if you feel that not to act. If you really feel that, then when you have opportunity, and when you have the opportunity and the capacity and resource to help someone to relieve and to free of their pain, their suffering, we will do that. We will do that. At the moment, we are unable to act to relieve and reduce of another being's pain and suffering, even when we see it, because our compassion is not strong enough. We don't have compassion, or even we have compassion, a little bit of that is not strong enough to drive us to do something. So we need that energy, that driving force. We need to cultivate that driving force that will drive you to do something when you see that and when you have the opportunity and capacity to do that. And that is what the true love and compassion, is cultivating that. In that true, when you develop that true love and compassion, that is the inner force that will drive you to act. And due to not having that inner force, we are unable to act at the moment in so many times, even when we have the opportunity to reduce and relieve of someone's pain and suffering. And that is why training the mind becomes so crucial. If you train your mind, if you don't have that inner force, then you don't drive. You don't have the driving force to act in actions. And even we have little bit of force, driving force to do now, after some time, that will become, sometimes that turn into resentment. Sometimes that turn into a disappointment. Sometimes then we give up, and again, that is due to not having developed strong inner force, So the more stronger inner force of love, compassion, virtue that you develop, then, there's no way it becomes, when you try to act, that can turn into a kind of disappointment, turn into a resentful, and to give up, being discouraged, and your mind very low and easily give up, and so therefore that is why in the teachings and the advices, instructions, and that why they emphasize so much on training the mind, practicing, meditating, training the mind, Otherwise, I try to help someone and then I hurt someone. A lot of time we end up doing that. I try to protect my pet and kill the other who is trying to attack my pet. Do you get it what I mean? Another pet is trying to hurt my pet, and I try to save my pet, but I don't mind killing another one for that. That is, a lot of our actions are like that. We're trying to help someone, and we don't mind hurting and harming someone in order to help someone. And but when we have true love and compassion, that wouldn't be the case. Not only you try to protect the most vulnerable ones, but also, and the victims, but also you try not to hurt and harm the perpetrators, the others who's being oppressing, because through that training, you don't want to hurt and harm any beings. While you try to protect the weaker one, while you are trying to protect the weaker one, while you are trying to help the weaker one, at the same time, you don't wish bad for the one who is the perpetrator, or the one who is trying to bully. You don't try to hurt and harm them. You don't try to wish them bad. Of course, you can wish their action to change. You can wish their mind to change. You can wish their action and to change so that, that they don't bully anymore again. they don't hurt anymore again, that they don't harm anymore again others. You will wish their behavior to change, their mind to change, their action to change, but you will not wish them any kind of harm or bad or suffering. At the moment, which is not easy for us, isn't it? And definitely not for me. And because we don't have enough training, we have not done enough training of our mind. So we really have to train our mind, work with our mind. When we see someone, bullying another kind of group, another beings, when we see someone, destroying, others' well-beings, means of others' well-beings, or the means for the well-beings of the futures of other beings, in the present or in the futures, when we see, someone, being very kind of aggressive and so forth, sometimes we can't stop not to have any negative feeling for them, isn't it? It's natural because we are ordinary human beings. We are unenlightened human beings. So you can't expect not to have that kind of feelings or emotions arising. Just as you don't wish, but it just arises. You don't wish and you don't put any effort for arising of such thought or feeling, but it just arises because of, our own defilements, our own delusion of mind, because of our own negative emotions, unenlightened mind. So those arises. So again, important things is, as the advice given earlier, be mindful and vigilant. Whenever any negative thought like that arises, with that mindful and vigilant mind, catch it, catching that moment. Oh, I'm having that negative thoughts. I'm wishing bad for that person. That is not good. That is against the Bodhisattva practice. That is against the Bodhicitta mind. And even in ordinary, I think it's not a good to wish someone bad, to wish someone pain and suffering. And so the moment you kind of catch up that, you make effort to transform and say, I wish that person's peace. I wish that person's. Of course, you can wish that person's behavior and action to change, as mentioned. We can wish, we can pray that person's mind to change, that person's actions and behavior to change, but at the same time, we wish that person's to be happy. We wish that person's to find a peace, true happiness in their heart, in their mind. And through that, that's how we train our mind. That's how we train our mind. Because it is more easier for us to feel love and compassion for the victim, the one who is being bullied. It's more easier for us to feel compassion and love for them, but it's much more difficult for others. And again, normally we don't train our mind to change our ordinary reactions, So that is the how we can train is when we have that kind of reaction, emotional reaction like that, then with mindfulness, vigilance, recognize that, catch up that mind, and then remind yourself, oh, that is against my Bodhisattva practice. That is against my Bodhisattva mind. And also it's not good wishing another being suffering and pain. Is the opposite of my Bodhisattva mind wishing all sentient beings to be happy and to have cause and happiness, and all sentient beings to be free from suffering, cause of suffering. When I make that kind of commitment every day, when I recite and make that commitment every day, how can I wish someone is suffering? It is against that very basic practice that we are trying to do every day. And so remembering that, recollecting that, and then making a little bit of effort to change that feeling, wishing someone to go through suffering and pain. Instead, we wish and pray, truly wish and pray them, to find peace and happiness, So that is how we train our mind slowly. That is how we train our mind slowly, and with the hope, and it will, with the time, then definitely you will feel less and less that kind of negative feeling towards someone who is bullying, the perpetrators, someone who is being cruel, unkind. Slowly we will not feel so much negative, feeling like that, ill will feeling like that. And slowly, hopefully, we really feel them love and compassion, even without putting so much effort, by understanding, those individuals are being bullying others or hurting others and harming others and being mean and cruel because they themselves are totally overwhelmed by those negative emotions. Sometimes is anger, sometimes is ignorance, sometimes is due to strong jealousy, sometimes is due to strong greediness, and that's why they are acting that way. Either it's very strong greediness, strong angers, strong jealousies, or ignorance. So they have no control over that, those mind, and those mind overtake them, and then they behave like that. So being totally overtaken by another, totally being overtaken by one of those emotions where they have no control, they must be suffering. They must be suffering. It's a suffering. When you lose your control, when you lose your own control, when you lose control of your life, when you lose control of your mind, when you lose of your mind and your life and your own control, that itself is suffering. So by seeing that pain and suffering of that person, then we might feel for them from our heart compassion. Slowly, slowly. Mm, mm. And a lot of time, if you observe, a lot of time, when does an individual, whether it is a human being or it is animal that we can see, when they become aggressive, when do they become aggressive and why do they become aggressive? Most time when their mind is unhappy and disturbed. when they are in not peace, when they are not in peace, and when their mind is disturbed. When the mind is disturbed and when they are suffering and pain, they become more aggressive. Animal, for example, a lot of animals, they attack when they are fearful, when their mind is disturbed because of the fear. So that fear drives them to become aggressive because that fear is a suffering, pain. And same with human beings. A lot of time is driven by a lot of fear. Why does people become aggressive? A lot of time, if you observe, is a fear, driven by fear. And being in that fearful state is a suffering. We all know that. When I am in a fearful state, whatever reason for my fear might be, whatever reason for my fear might be, whether my fear have any good reason or not, but as long as I am fearful, then it really disturbs my mind. It really takes away my peace. Everywhere you are kind of consciously, whatever you do, that fear arises. That is pain. And if we watch in the world, all over the world, people who are aggressive, or even maybe when they're not aggressive normally, but they become aggressive in certain time and certain point. And a lot of time is driven by the fear. So basically what I'm trying to say is, because of the suffering in themselves, when they are not happy themselves, and when there's a lot of pain and suffering in themselves, then that tend to lead another being to be more aggressive. And I think understanding that and recognizing and understanding that can be helpful, not to have so much a negative feeling for that person or ill will feeling for that individual, because we also understand their pain and suffering to a certain degree. So these are part of practice, okay? These are meditation. This is meditation when you try to bring all this, what we have been discussing, and you contemplate when you are when you are having some negative feeling, evil feeling, wishing them to have some kind of bad things happening to them and suffering to them. So trying to understand, trying to feel their own pain and suffering through that kind of, reflections and contemplations, why they are doing that, then maybe, our negative feeling can be a little bit more, less intense, it can be more lighter, or then reduce, or maybe we can even be able to completely not have that feeling at all. And that negative feeling being taken over by something good feeling, positive feeling, wishing them happiness, wishing them peace, and thereby, whatever small seed of love and compassion we have now, when we do that, then we are watering that love and compassion seed. So that love and compassion seed can grow and blossom, and is watering, each time we do that, is watering that love and compassion seed we all have, and slowly, then that love and compassion can be fully blossom, fully grown to its full potential. And that is what we want to reach. And again, when you have that kind of love or compassion, when you don't have any negative feeling for others, even the perpetrator, the one who is bullying, who is being mean and cruel, when you don't have that feeling, then your mind is not so disturbed. Your mind is not so disturbed. So when your mind is not so disturbed, then you find more peace and happiness in yourself. Your mind is more peaceful, more calm. Does that mean we don't do any actions to stop that kind of behavior and actions, harmful action and behavior? No, if there is any way we can, if there is any way that we can act to reduce and relieve that pain and suffering, stop that, we should. But from more calm, peaceful state of mind, from more loving and compassionate state of mind. That is what it is about. How can we act? How can we act to make things better, to change for better, but not out of anger, not out of ill will feeling, but from the state of, if possible, love and compassion and Bodhisattva mind. If not, at least from the state where your mind is more calm and peaceful, instead of being disturbed by anger and ill will feelings. And when we take actions with that, from that more calm, peaceful state of mind, we will be able to find better way to, we will find a much more, conducive, better way to solve the problems, to bring the change without hurting and harming others. Otherwise, what we see in the world is, you try to fix one problem and then we create another problem because we help someone and one group and we hurt another group, harm another group. So then there is one group who is very frustrated, impatient, and angry, and then they create problems. And we help them, and then again, we hurt another group, and it's endless. But that problem can be solved if we try to kind of, if we are able to kind of try to solve it without hurting, intentionally, okay? Without intentionally hurting and harming anyone, and finding a way intentionally not to hurt and harm, then definitely, you will find much more better result. We will be able to find better result when we try to solve from that point of view, from that state of mind. So I guess, I guess that is to the love and compassion, okay? And when you have strong love and compassion, then that definitely that will make your Bodhisattva more stable. And as I mentioned, Bodhisattva is driven by that love and compassion, then the wish to become yourself better, the wish to become yourself more enlightened or fully awakened, so that you can be able to benefit and help others. The more enlightened you are, the more you are able to help others. The more awakened you are, the better and more we can help and benefit others. The less enlightened we are, the less awakened we are, the less we are able to benefit and help to others. And so Bodhisattva mind is to achieve your highest potential, fully awakened, fully enlightened state. Even we cannot become fully enlightened immediately, at least we want to become more enlightened. We want to become more awakened. The more awakened, more enlightened we become, the more we'll have a more skill, more means, better way to help and benefit to others. And able to be benefit and help others and oneself, both others and oneself. you know, more enlightened, more awakened means less defilements, less negative emotion in yourself, you know, more positive inner qualities such as love, compassion, wisdom, patience, you know, all this inner quality that we need, you know, courageous attitude, you know, confidence attitude, you know, all of those we need to be more benefit and help to others. And so that is, and then avoid the 10 unwholesome actions and make your faith and confidence be strong. You know? And avoid the 10 unwholesome actions, you know. Again, through body, speech, and mind, you know. And all of those unwholesome actions, you know, bring harm and pain to either both others and oneself, or others or oneself. Basically, those actions bring pain and suffering and harm to another sentient beings. So we want to avoid any actions that can bring more harm, more pain, more suffering to any beings, whether it is other persons or other beings, or whether it's yourself, or whether it's both. You know, we don't want to act in anything that is harmful to anyone. You know, and so that is it. So, you know, again, I don't need to go in very detail each of them, you know, but basically, you know, such as taking the lives of others is one, you know. Stealing is another one, you know. So when we engage in those actions, you know, it hurts, bring harm and suffering to others and oneself, you know. To oneself, maybe sometimes not immediately, but in the future, in long term. But definitely it hurts, harm, and brings suffering to the others immediately with that kind of actions, you know. And then, you know, engaging in sexual misconduct, you know, getting in a relationship with someone who is already in a relationship, you know, and thereby creating a problem in the other's relationship, you know, disturbing, you know, in their relationship, creating divisions, bad feelings. So you know, it hurts others, you know, also in long term through that, in karmically, and it also hurt us as well, you know. Even it doesn't hurt immediately. In some cases, definitely you will get in trouble and problem for that, you know. So and then lying, you know, telling lies, you know, engaging in a divisive speech, you know, engaging in a harsh speech, you know, harsh speech that really hurts someone's mind, you know, and engaging into a meaningless, you know, idle gossips, you know, and then having a covetous mind, sense of kind of attachment, greediness, you know. When you see someone's objects, nice object, good object, you wish, you know, you wish that to happen to you, you know. So again, it's always chasing after something again, you know, running and chasing after something. You know, that kind of covetous mind, it really, you know, hurts you, you know. It hurts your mind when you have that, because you feel unhappy because you don't have that, because you feel dissatisfied, you know, because you don't have that, you know. And And then sometimes we act out of that mind to and wanting that for yourself, and then we might be in the process to get that. Then we might be sometimes aggressively kind of stealing, lying, deceiving, all kind of things, and then ill will feelings, another ill will feelings, which we kind of discussed. It's a harsh feeling. It's not a gentle, nice feeling. It's a very harsh feeling, wishing others something bad. So again, just by having that ill will feeling, your mind is totally kind of disturbed, totally disturbed. It really harms you, hurt you immediately, your mental state, or also, karmically, we create karma to experience such people having a bad feeling to us in the future as well. And definitely, we don't appreciate when someone has a bad feeling for us. Do we? No. And then, wrong views, So those are the 10 unwholesome actions, 3 actions through physically, 4 actions verbally through speech, and 3 mental actions, So trying to avoid them, because those actions, those unwholesome actions bring directly, indirectly harm and pain to ourselves all the time. And also, it also brings pain and harm to others, also directly, indirectly. Some of them directly, some of them indirectly. So, and especially when we are training on this Bodhisattvas path, trying to work for the benefit of all sentient beings, so then we don't want to engage in any actions that can bring any harm, any pain, suffering to others, especially intentionally, knowingly or intentionally, to act that way. So then, instead of 10 unwholesome actions, avoiding that and then engaging 10 wholesome actions, then engage in 10 wholesome actions that can help and benefit, that can bring help and happiness in others' lives, or one's own life, or in the both life, So yes, so that is instead of killing, saving lives, So saving life, instead of stealing, then practicing generosity, Instead of engaging in sexual misconduct, then trying to live in a more ethical, with more mindfulness. Instead of lying, being truthful, talking honestly, truthfully. Instead of harsh speech, trying to use more kind, gentle speech, Instead of divisive speech, we need to engage in more reconciliative speech, saying instead of, when there is a kind of divisions due to different spiritual path, or due to different political views, or due to whatever that is, instead of creating more, how bad they have this view, this, instead we should try to engage in a discussion that can bring those together, more united, not dividing them. Not dividing, but engaging speech that can help the other person did not have so much bad feeling, but instead of better feeling, so that we can have more unity and instead of more divisives. And then instead of meaningless idle gossips, then we try to engage our speech, something more meaningful, something that is helpful, beneficial, And then instead of covetousness, then we try to have non-attachment, non-greediness, sense of contentment, being content, being happy with what we have, instead of always being unhappy with what we have, what we are, Constantly we are always like that, We are unhappy with what we have. We are unhappy with what we are, always wanting to be someone else instead of yourself. I wish I could be this and that. I wish I could be like them or this, and all of that, But instead of that, practicing sense of contentment, being joyful happiness with, what you have, that make you much more happy, And then instead of ill will feeling, then love and compassion. Instead of wrong view, then having the right view, So practicing, so avoiding those 10 unwholesome actions, engaging in 10 wholesome actions that are the cause of one's and others' happiness, So, and the basics, the very minimum Buddha's teachings, especially on the Mahayana path, is if you can help, try to help. If you can help, try to help. Even if you cannot help, do not harm others intentionally. Do not harm others, And so these are the actions. Do not harm others. So how we would not harm others? By avoiding such unwholesome actions through body, speech, and mind. How do you avoid harming others? By avoiding such actions. Those 10 actions, such as those 10 actions. So that is, and then make your faith and confidence be strong, When you are on the path to become, when you are trying to engage in the path to become more loving, more compassionate, when you are trying to be on the Bodhisattva path, trying to help and benefit to others, we need confidence, strong confidence. Courage and confidence is very important. So we need to develop those inner qualities, confidence, courage, as well as faith in your path. Faith in your path. The faith in that path that you are trying to follow, the Bodhisattva path. Faith in the Bodhisattva path. The faith in, the path of loving kindness, compassion. If you don't have strong faith and confidence, then, again, we might lose the journey, path after some time. At the very beginning, when you meet the Dharma, you are very inspired by those, you are very much inspired by those, these teachings, of loving kindness, compassion, trying to be helpful, not harming, all of that. But if you don't have the faith and confidence, as time goes by, then you might not have same inspirations, you might not have same enthusiasms, and slowly, you start to lose, and slowly, we become very ordinary, normal people, like a very ordinary, normal persons, just as like before you met the Dharma, then our actions, our way of thinking, attitude, then become just go back the way you had thinking, your attitude before you met the Dharma. How did it come, And we see a lot of people in that state because after some time they lose faith and confidence in their path. At the very beginning, they are very much kind of, inspired and enthusiastic by those teachings. But after some time, then slowly, it can, and to have the faith and confidence, practice. With the practice, you will see some positive changes. With that positive changes, then you will have faith and the confidence. The problem with us is, even though we have all this knowledge, informations, teachings, sometimes we don't put so much effort in practice itself. And when we don't put so much practice in it, put effort in practice itself, then we don't see so much changes, transformations. And when we don't see transformation changes, even after so many years, then we started to lose the faith and confidence. And when you lose the faith and confidence, then you started to lose the path. Then you give up the practice, you give up the path. And so that is very important to keep our practice, our path alive, and that we can have continually, some kind of inspiration and enthusiasm is. Then we need faith and the confidence. In order to have faith and confidence, we need to have a little bit of experience, some experience, little bit of change and transformation. We have to see a little bit of change and transformation ourselves in terms of our actions, in terms of our behavior, in terms of our attitude before we met the Dharma. And then, then slowly, then when you see little changes, little transformations, then it will give you, more faith and confidence. And with more faith and confidence, that will help you to be on the path, continue to be on the path without losing it. So I think I will stop here. And if there's any questions, I can take some questions.
Geshe, this is Heather. I have a question.
Yes, please.
This is wonderful. Thank you so much. My question is kind of specific. So this is the first Father's Day since my dad died, and I'm going to be with my family. And I'm close to my family, and I love my family very much. But when I'm around my brother, it sometimes feels like I have never meditated for 5 seconds in my life. I get very mad at him and his, and I feel very hurt by him. And it's hard. I don't have the option today to have distance. We all need to be together with my mom. And so I don't want to cause harm, but I want to take care of myself. And I don't know if you have advice from how to work with that in a specific situation like that.
I think first of all, as we mentioned, I think you have to, first of all, that you have to remember that, of course, maybe it has been difficult in the past whenever you have come together for whatever reasons, and so sometimes, when you go with that kind of mind, that is going to be difficult. So then you have already created in your mind of that situation, whether it's going to happen or not. And so that your state of mind can make things worse.
Sure.
know? So in your mind being, of course, in the past, for whatever reasons, we have that kind of, interactions or that kind of energies that make you kind of uncomfortable and unpleasant, all of that. But that could change anytime, nothing is permanent. Every interaction is different. Every meeting is different. He could change, you could change, both of you could change, or the environment, the situation could change. So, so you don't go there with that kind of already negative feelings. Now, even before going, already feeling that feelings. And because when you feel that, then when you go there, you are bringing that energy.
Right.
And maybe people around there might feel that energy. And that might kind of make them, activate them, also their energy. And then that could have that. So I think that is one thing, just calming your mind. It doesn't have to be all like that, or in every of our meeting interaction, it doesn't have to be that. It can change, and also from your side, so with that kind of step, that is, I think, one thing that you have to kind of work with your mind even before going and meeting, And secondly, trying to be more mindful when you are there with your own mind. So the moment you see your mind being kind of, whatever, agitating, impatient, frustrated, I can just try to work with that. When you are more mindful, when it is starting to arise, when it's not really arise very strongly, but when it's starting to arise, you can work with your breathing just to quiet and calm, and again, you can try to think, even though I'm feeling that way, maybe he have any bad intentions or any kind of something to do, something that disturb your mind. It could be just some energy from past, whatever it is, And so if you kind of, stop blaming him for that, but maybe instead it could be something, it's some kind of energy, whether we call it karma or not, from the past, and it's something that, and so it's a part of process of purification of that, trying to clear that, whatever that has been left from the past. And so again, through that kind of working through that, and also working with mindfulness and with the breath and like that. And then, I think the problem, the one important thing is, as it is mentioned here, you need to have the faith and confidence that this kind of, we don't have to be that all the time.
Yeah.
It can be stopped. It has been that like in the past, but that can be changed. Right. And I can make it change if I put more effort.
Right.
Yeah. So that would be my kind of suggestions.
Thank you so much. That's very helpful, Geshe.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, then we do the dedications. Yeah. May all beings everywhere, plagued by the suffering of body and the mind, obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtues of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicine be effective and wholesome prayer bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be free from their ailments. Whatever disease they are in the world, may they never fall again. May the frightening cease to be afraid and those bound be free. May the powerless find power and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of the day and the week and the month and the year.